Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the PlotCast. I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sandbrook, and today we're going to be reviewing Project Hail Mary. All right, so this is an exciting review, especially for me who has been waiting for this movie
Mm.
for so long.
Can't get him to
Was it
stop talking about it, folks.
was it worth the wait? It sure as hell was.
Yes, it
I
was.
guess we will start off with our initial review. When we walked out of the theater, how did we feel? What did we feel that this was deserving?
Well, I feel like first, I want to say you put me onto this. You've been talking about it forever, how hyped you were, but also how worried you were. You were very skeptical. You were
Yes.
thinking there was going to be the typical, our last video, we're talking about nostalgia and stuff. I know this isn't really nostalgia because this is an original IP.
Well, I mean, in a way it is because for me it's nostalgia. I read this book 2, 3 years ago. So for me, this is nostalgia
I
in a
guess so.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you regardless, you've had your reservations because of what we talked about before, how Hollywood takes something loved and then craps on it. And this definitely, I never read the book. Chris has read the book. He told me his initial review. He saw it before me, and I was just kind of like, okay, that's high praise. But I'll leave him to say that. But me walking out of the theater, I had a big grin on my face. I love the movie. I was pleasantly surprised. So, without going into any more detail, because we'll talk about it later, I initially give it a 10 walking out of the theater.
10 out of 10. I also gave it a 10 out of 10. I obviously know what's missing, but all the things that are missing are either due to time or whether they're truly necessary or not. There were lulls and stuff like that that were removed. Um, and I accepted everything that was removed. I thought it was very acceptable that they removed those certain things. It didn't kill the movie. It didn't make or break the movie. So when I initially watched it, I was very satisfied with how it turned out. Yes, it was a long movie, and I know you had to go pee at some point.
I did.
So I get it. It's a long movie. I feel like most big movie events these days are long movies. So the average moviegoer may be getting used to it at this point. um, Especially those big ones, the Avenger movies and such. So I don't think it was too horrible of a sit. I enjoyed every second of it. I went to the bathroom before I went in.
Oh,
So
I did too, actually. I did. And then I've been on this diet. I've been drinking more fluids, and I tried to hold. Normally, I can typically hold it, but I was just like, maybe I'm getting old. And that could be a too old bladder, people. But picked a spot where there's a little lull. I'm like, I think I should be good. Went, came back, and then stuff was happening. I'm like, no, but I think this is what's going on. So I think maybe anything important I missed maybe 2 minutes of. So I mean, let's put it this way. I gave it a 10. I'm definitely gonna see it again. It is
yes,
definitely IMAX worthy, people. I didn't see it in IMAX, go see it in IMAX.
I did. I did. Um, and it was spectacular, literally spectacular. Um, I guess that's what I will start off with. The visuals were top notch. They went all out on the visual effects, and they had those moments. Something Dune has been getting a lot of credit for is
Yep.
those there's no dialogue, it's just an experience.
Yeah.
Um, and they did that in this. They had moments where you have the celestial vista around the main character, or something is happening and you're watching something unfold or be revealed, and it is visually pleasing in every aesthetic. So, and the sound design, fantastic. Especially in IMAX, you felt
Yep.
everything. Um, I My biggest reservation about the whole thing was them casting Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is too pretty for the role. Supposed to be some middle-aged uh teacher, and he wasn't. And that was the first thing that I was against. And I still think there were definitely certain points that he didn't feel like he fit.
Yeah,
But he's such a good actor. At this point, I've seen
he
him in
is.
enough things that I appreciated what he did with the role.
I definitely pictured, like, based off of what you told me about the character from the description from the book, I basically pictured him as Paul Giamatti. I think maybe if Paul Giamatti would have been like 10, 15 years younger, I'd say he would have been the perfect cast for this character too. But,
Yeah.
you know, people nowadays are like, Paul, who?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get the pretty boy in there. Let's get Ryan in there. Get the girls to come. The
And
guys
more
too,
in
who
the one.
knows? But, I mean, he did an amazing job for what we got, I think, and I think he did a really good
Yeah.
job in selling the friendship between him and Rocky. Rocky also stole the show. I thought he was amazing. I'll let you speak more about that.
Yeah. I will say, okay, so there are two alien, technically three alien life forms throughout this movie. And the first one is the astrophage, the reason that we have the story progressing in the way that it does. As the name implies, astro meaning star, phage meaning eater. Um, it's literally microscopic microbes that use their energy to propel them towards the things that they need in space, which is the heat from stars, and they feed off of it.
Before we go any further, spoiler
Spoilers.
warning.
Yeah, so they used the same joke that was in the book. That yes, they consume the energy from the star and they excrete it to move. They toot scoot.
Toot scoot. The toot scoot boogie people in space.
Yep. But yes, that's the first alien life form that we experience. And they get very scientific about it. The main character gets brought on board because he wrote a paper about how he believed that H2O was not necessary as a building block for all life. So he got brought on board because they believed it may not have it. He did find out that yes, it did in fact have H2O. But regardless of that discovery, they allowed him to continue to research on it. Eventually, he does go to space, which does towards the end lead to kind of a big moment when you realize how he got into space, because he was not initially, he was just the leading scientist in regards to the astrophage, teaching the astronauts that were being sent on Project Hail Mary. The idea was that they were to go to a star that was not being affected by the astrophage. They were able to find out astrophage by shooting ultraviolet rays at them, and they could see their path. As a result, they saw that their path went to a star that was not fading. We're going to send a bunch of people out there. They're going to find out why it's not fading and then send them back, or rather, send the uh, whatever results back so that we
Yeah.
had a chance to stop them. So when he wakes up, the rest of the crew is dead, and they do this thing where you are experiencing what is happening on the ship and then everything else in flashbacks as is needed, or rather as he remembers it.
Yeah.
um, they do speed through the beginning quite a bit. They want to get the ball rolling. This The beginning is quite slow in the book. That being said, though, they did a great job of getting everything set up. I feel like the beginning did feel a little rushed. I'm not sure if you felt that.
Oh, I agree with it. I actually was expecting more flashbacks at the beginning for a better setup kind of thing. I mean, the setup was fine, but I felt like we were gonna get more in depth with his character a little bit more before he goes out. And I do like the fact that they ended up starting it where he wakes up and he's there and he doesn't know what's going on. He's asking, "Who am I? What am I?" Like his memories are slowly coming back. And I think the reason why they cut it the way they did was because as these flashbacks are happening, I think it was meant to portray the fact that he's remembering at that moment what we just saw. I That's what
Yes.
I was interpreting.
Yeah, so the way the book was set up was like you'd have a chapter of him on the ship, and then you'd have a chapter of a flashback, which would then reveal information that he needed on the ship.
Yeah,
Um, and it would just switch back and forth. And I enjoyed it, but I remember thinking, "Oh, how the heck are they going to turn this into a movie?" And they did
yeah.
it pretty well. The flashbacks would severely cut. I will say that there's definitely less time on Earth. We didn't get to see them nuke the polar ice caps, so that's something.
Oh, that would've been cool, but then again, people would be
Yeah,
like, "Why are we watching this like that?" I don't know.
yeah. No, I mean, obviously it made sense. It was to buy time on Earth that was freezing over.
Yeah,
Um, and so yeah, no, it was it would have been cool to see, and I assumed when I thought about the movie that they were going to show it just because that's something that looks flashy.
yeah,
They didn't use it, and that's fine. It
yeah,
would have slowed the story down regardless. The main plot that you're focusing on is what's going on up in space.
yeah,
Um, while up in space, though, they did move to the next alien life form pretty fast, and that would be Rocky. He is an Iridian from the planet Irid. That obviously is all translations that he basically comes up with himself anyway.
yeah,
When he does speak with Rocky. He communicates through sound, like whistles.
yeah,
It's like steam coming through a vent, and he controls how the rocks. He's a giant rock spider. For those who haven't seen it, which again was another thing that I was like, how are they going to do this? Is this going to look stupid? You
Oh, it
know?
was beautiful. They did a great job. And
Yeah,
I haven't read the
exactly.
book, but Rocky stole the show. Every moment he was there, he was the child wonder kinda character. He
Yes.
was like the audience almost. You just connected with
Yeah.
him so much.
I. It is so funny too because he wasn't necessarily a scientist, he was a mechanic. He worked in the engine room of his ship. He was the only one that survived the trip because
Yep,
he was surrounded by astrophage, which protected him from radiation. And being that his species does not have eyes, their whole advancements in technology was different than ours. It was based on sound, echolocation is how they see. But as far as the way they learned, I mean, it took a lot for them to learn just astrophysics because space has no sound. So in the book, a lot more developed as far as how they came to be traveling through space in a spaceship when they had no eyes. Which you would assume is just like impossible to
yeah,
happen. And the book really lays out, that they were unique enough and smart enough to be able to make it work. Um, and it was believable. I believe it was
yeah.
believable. How did you feel?
I bought every second of it. I mean, with Rocky's race, the one thing that was cool, when you first see his ship, my impression was like, "What is this? What is this made out of?" I was kinda confused because looking at it, it almost looks like you could just pass right through it yourself. But it like you said, they are like a spider rock kinda creature, and it's just like that. They kind of have a way of, like, spinning their own webs, kind of, and the one thing that's cool is when they first meet up they try and dock each other, or rather Rocky's ship proposes in a very subtle way for them to line up so he can make a bridge. And when they're showing the bridge being made, it's almost like it's being 3D printed, which I thought was a cool idea. And then when you see the type of alien kind of race he is, a rock spider, it makes so much sense.
Right,
Like, and
right.
I thought that was cool. It was totally believable. I did like the fact that they kind of had this whole Morse code thing going at first, and Ryan Gosling's character didn't get it
Yes.
until he started putting 2 together. He's like, "Oh, wait, you don't have eyes. Okay, echolocation, I got it." And the coolest part was that he got his laptop and was very primitive and like, "Okay, how am I gonna do this?" Just he's making up this alien's language in English, and the alien just figured it out the same way. Well,
Yeah,
minus the computer, but, you know.
yeah. The alien was definitely picked up the slack on his end because he
Yes.
didn't have additional tools. Like he had to learn English
Yeah.
basically as it's spoken to him. Um, Now, at first, he did, play back for certain words,
Yeah.
the sounds. He would set up keys so that he could just type, and whatever message he was saying, it would go back to him. But that wasn't necessarily in the movie. Again, saving time. Now, that brings us to our third species, and that was the species of alien that they found would kill off the astrophage.
Mhm.
They were in Tau Ceti, and so they found amoebas that would kill the astrophage, and so they decided to call them Taunebas. And the way that it was all put together, because during that time it was very tense. There was a lot of life and death situations,
Yep.
and that's when we have had these two science buddies buddying it up, you know, far from home, very far, both of them very far from home, trying to figure it out. Their entire crews are both dead. It is just the two of them trying to communicate and figure out the biggest, in fact, the greatest mystery, time sensitive mystery that either of their races have ever experienced to this point. And it's just the two of them coming together, getting everything done. And then we're at this point where they're at a crucial moment and things start falling apart. They're
Yep.
down to one ship and they are basically fishing for what they need. It's extremely dangerous. That the ship is not equipped for this kind of mission at all,
Yeah.
but they make it work. And unfortunately, it's at the expense of both of them. At certain points, they come very close to death. But just the way that the movie holds the emotional weight of everything that's happening, it was done masterfully because I remember reading it, and when you read something like that, they can push it over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
They have no time limit. And you're experiencing it as it's happening. You don't know what the outcome will be. I don't want to go heavy into the spoilers here because I want people to see it and experience it. But in a movie, it's a lot different because everything's on screen, things move much faster. I mean, everything's going to be confined to just a couple to 3 hours, whereas reading a book can take you, from a few days to a week to a month to a year, depending on how
Yeah.
fast you are as a reader. So, it's prolonged in the story. It's not so much in the movie, but they did it well enough that you still felt the impact.
Now, this is where the part of the movie where I actually had a little bit of gripe with. It's funny because this scene specifically, I enjoyed a lot because of how tense it was, but I also had to suspend my belief a little bit because I started thinking and I wasn't sure, but I really liked how I'm gonna go with what I liked first, but I liked how they showed Ryan Gosling putting his life on the line because it is a life or death situation, not just for them, but both their races. So he's gonna do what he's gotta do no matter what. And later on you find out that he wasn't always that type of person, but uh they have that going on there. But my issue was too is the way they're going about it and they're in the atmosphere. I was thinking like, wait, wouldn't he be burning up right now? But then again, I was also thinking to myself, maybe it's because of the composition of the planet. Maybe that's why he's not. I don't know. I felt like
So they did kind of show it. It was the front of the ship was starting to burn. And because he was behind all of the fins of the ship, he was shaded.
okay,
Shaded enough that not only did he feel the drag of the forces going against the ship, he also wasn't kind of think of it as wind.
yeah,
You have something blocking you,
yeah,
and the wind isn't really hitting you. The same goes for the atmospheric burn.
yeah,
Um, So, yes, if he was closer to the front of the ship, absolutely he'd be feeling it. But you
Yeah,
also saw little sparks fly
yeah.
past him.
That's why I was
Um,
confused because you could see in, like, the very back of the ship, like, there's, like, a jet stream or whatever, and that's, like, completely on fire, and I'm like, "Wait, shouldn't he be burning up here?" But I wasn't sure, like, I was like, "Maybe there's something scientifically I'm missing here," or
it is science, yes, which of course they get into in the book before he even goes outside. He talks about it, knowing that
yeah,
that part of physics is going to help him survive.
yeah,
But yes, for those who aren't familiar with the physics, that is something that they left out scientifically. For the viewers, it's just left to suspending
disbelief.
disbelief at that point.
Yeah,
So there's only so much they can do. If they sat down and explained every little detail, it would be a much longer and much more boring movie.
yeah, that is true. I mean, Hollywood, bro.
Yes,
Can't get it
yeah,
100% right, but it's okay. That was the
yeah.
only issue I had, although it was a really great scene.
Yeah. My biggest issue, I will say, is that, like you mentioned, he wasn't always heroic like that in
Yeah,
that scene. We do later learn that he absolutely refused to join the mission. And then he was tackled and sedated and put on the mission ship ahead of time. They induced a coma earlier than expected. And he basically went against his will and was
yeah.
forced into it.
Which I figured
Uh,
that's what they were gonna do too when they started
yeah.
showing him saying, "I don't wanna do it."
So he was a coward. He didn't want to go. He liked his life on Earth, even though it wasn't much of one. Um, he was alone. He was broke, but he liked teaching. That was
Yeah,
his thing. And that's actually what his motivation was when he finds all of this out. Before he starts doing these heroic things, he realizes he's going to do it for those kids.
yeah,
He didn't want them to freeze to death, to starve to death. Um, he realized that that's why he was doing it, but they never had that moment in the movie. They
yeah,
never had the, oh, I'm going to turn things around. I'm not going to be cowardly anymore. I'm going to do what I need to do. He just does it, and you assume he's like that.
yeah. I mean, well, I think they in the movie, it was more for Rocky at that point because they really
Yeah.
were doing a good job in showing their relationship being from timid life forms that didn't know anything about each other to becoming, like, best friends, and the friendship, you felt it through the whole movie.
Yes, that was one thing that A, I was worried about, but B, I was impressed with.
Yeah,
They absolutely nailed it. Which, that is the major theme of it is, two alien life forms getting together to save their respective planets. That's the make or break. If you can't get that down, you don't really have a movie.
yeah, and they were successful in it, and both characters grew from what they were when we first saw them, which was great, and by the end of it, it almost seemed like Ryan's character didn't wanna go back home at all because it looked to me like he was enjoying his life on, Erd what
Arid.
was it?
Yeah.
Arid.
Yep. So yes, at the end of the movie, he ends up on Earth. They do make a habitat for him that is very similar to Earth, and he does from there teach classes. He teaches the young ones. He is the science teacher, which is a great callback, and it does happen in the book. The biggest difference is how much older he is in the book.
Yeah,
At that point, so much time has passed that I believe he has a cane. He's much older. He still considers going back, and I believe he even says, I absolutely will, just not yet. But during that time in the book, he's thinking about all the people that had shunned him, that had sent him off, and he really didn't want to face them, even though he knew at this point most of them would be dead by now. Just
yeah,
from, I mean, he was near faster than light travel to get there, and he would have to do the same thing again. To go back, there would be time dilation for sure. Um, but yeah, that was more of an excuse to stay a little longer. They do leave him on the planet in the book. You know, uh, it ends with him just doing that class, saying, "Yeah, I'll get to it. I'll go back
Okay.
when I'm ready."
Yeah, because even
Um,
in the movie, they say, "Hey, your ship's ready," and then he just kind of shrugs it off and goes to teach class.
yeah,
Or
yeah, exactly. Um, he was definitely too young at the end of the movie.
yeah.
Like so much time passes by that point that he should be pretty old.
Yeah, that was the other
Um,
issue I kind of found with the movie too, is just how believable his age would have been with all that star travel, and obviously, it makes more sense in the books because you have more time with the character to really know how much time has passed. In the movie, they don't really go into detail about how much
yeah,
time has passed,
right.
which is
Uh,
probably what they were trying to do.
Right, exactly. That I you know what? As far as leaving things ambiguous, it's probably the best bet. I
Yeah,
mean, a lot of
exactly.
times they will just put on screen like, 12 years later or
Yeah,
whatever. Either way, I think they did a great job with the movie. As far as adaptations go, this is the type of adaptation you want to strive for.
yeah,
That what was taken out for good reasons, and the way that they put it together, they still had their moments where they were able to take it slow and let you experience it without, flooding you with too much
yeah.
information. So I think it was perfect in the sense of what they had to do to get from book to script. Honestly, I think it deserves the 10 out of 10.
Alright, so our final reviews, you're saying you're sticking with 10 out of 10.
I am.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. This is Chris's first 10 out of 10, and this is coming from the guy who read the book. That's amazing, especially from Chris, who's very critical, especially from book adaptations. So,
Yeah.
um, as far as I go, I never read the book. I saw the movie. I had my little gripes, but they weren't too much of anything to really. They were more like questions, I guess, than gripes. The movie itself, I walked out of it smiling like from cheek to cheek, and listening to the people behind me made it so much better because one guy was like, "Oh, I fell asleep, but I woke up and I caught the rest of the movie and I thought it was great. Like, this is like a really good movie." And then he starts talking about Interstellar or whatever. And I gotta say, like, I was smiling even from the fact that the people behind me were telling me how, or not telling me, but saying how much they like it. And I'm just like, this was definitely one of those rare feel good sci fi romps that you walk out of it just feeling like, I saw an experience. That I wanna see this again. It was really good. I mean, I haven't felt this way since the first Independence Day and watching Interstellar. This is better than Interstellar in my opinion. I just wanna go on record and say that.
Yeah.
I love Christopher Nolan, but sometimes it feels like he talks too much in the sense of his writing, not necessarily him, but I'm right there with you, Chris. 10 out of 10. I will see this again. I don't know if I'll go to the movies to see it again, but it is definitely movie going worthy to watch it again. So 10 out of 10 from both of us, which is amazing. I mean, it did a really good job in make you feel for both characters' friendships, especially when Rocky leaves his little crystalline thing to save Ryan's character. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is tugging at my heartstrings here for a rock.
Yeah.
So
Who
yeah,
thought you'd cry over a rock
yeah,
spider, you
it
know?
is definitely an emotional ride, people. I mean, take if you guys out there have girls that aren't into science fiction, they might be after this. So take
Right?
them to go see it. It's unanimous here, folks. So it's definitely good. Gonna see it again. I don't know. Um, I'm almost speechless at this point because I'm smiling right now because I'm just thinking about it. But
Right.
yeah, I gotta end this, folks. So I just want to say
Yeah.
thank you guys for coming. This has been the latest episode of the Plotcast where we just reviewed Hail Mary. So leave a comment down below. Tell us what you thought about the movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, do you plan on seeing it? You should see it. Any last thoughts, Chris?
Well, I do wanna let the viewers know that we'll be taking a week off. So this will be the end of this season of the PlotCast, and we'll be returning in 2 weeks.
That's right, folks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We need a little break because we got some cool stuff coming next season. So you won't want to miss out. And a way that you won't miss out, if you guys don't know, we are also on Instagram, obviously Spotify and YouTube. So check us out there. And if you guys haven't already, come on. What are you doing? Like and subscribe. It's the only way to stay up to date with our little channel here at Plot Hole Productions. So with that said, I'm your host, Nate Slater.
And I'm Chris Sandbrook, and we'll catch you
In
in
the
the void.
void.